Senate floor. So we may establish a quorum. We begin today's business.
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, Blakesley, Calderon, Cedillo, Cogdill, Corbett, Correa, Denham, DeSaulnier, Duchesne, Dutton, Emerson, Flores, Hancock, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee.
Members, a quorum has been established. Messages from the Assembly will be deemed read. Reports from committee will be deemed read. Under motions and resolutions, those have been read. Introductions, first reading of bills are being deemed read. Senator Anastat, you're recognized. Senator Anastat. Senator Anastat, you're recognized at your desk.
Mr. President, members, there's a resolution at the desk requesting permission to suspend the joint rules, and these requests have been approved by the Rules Committee. I request your adoption of this resolution.
Will the Secretary please read?
Resolved that Joint Rule 61B-15 and 62A be dispensed with as requested. Resolved that Joint Rule 61B-16 be dispensed with as requested.
Okay. Will the Secretary please call the roll? This is a 27-vote measure.
Onnested, aye. Alquist, aye. Ashburn, aye. Blakesley, no. Calderon, Cedillo, Cogdill, no. Corbett, aye. Correa, Denham, DeSaulnier, Duchesne, aye. Dutton, aye. Emerson, no. Flores, aye. Hancock, aye. Harmon, no. Hollingsworth, aye. Huff, aye. Kehoe, aye. Leno, aye. Liu, aye. Lowenthal, aye. Negrete McLeod, aye. Oropesa, Padilla, aye. Pavley, Price, aye. Romero, aye. Runner, no. Smidian, aye. Steinberg, aye. Strickland, no. Walters, no. Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wright, Weiland, Yee. DeSaulnier, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon, Cedillo, aye. Correa, Denham, Oropesa, Pavley, aye. Wiggins, Wright, Weiland, no. Yee.
Please call.
Yee, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon, Correa, Denham, Oropesa, Wiggins, Wright.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon, Correa, Denham, Oropesa, Wiggins, Wright. Emerson, no to aye.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon, Correa, Denham, Oropesa, Wiggins, Wright.
Please call. Please.
Wright, aye.
27, noes 7. The joint rules are suspended. Members, under motions and resolutions without objection, Senate Rule 29.3B will be suspended for AB 12, 185, 194, 226, 827, 2398, 2470. Is there any objection? Please call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Blakesley? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? Dusaunier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Ducheney, aye. Ashburn, no.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon, Correa, Denham, Oropesa, Runner, Walters, Wiggins, Yee. Yee, aye.
Ayes 21, noes 11. The rules are suspended. Members, under motions and resolutions, pursuant to Senate Rule 2910, the following bills are referred to the Rules Committee. File Item 35, SB 1237. And without objection, members, the following resolutions will be withdrawn from committee and placed on today's special consent calendar, ACR 183. Senator Elquist, you are recognized at your desk. Senator Kehoe, I'm sorry, excuse me.
I'd like to have a meeting immediately of the Local Government Committee off the floor and just for a couple items.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. There are amendments at the desk for AB 1653, and I move that they be adopted.
Okay. Members, before we adjourn to the committee, let's take up this item's 21 vote, a measure that we will need every member on the floor for. Will the Secretary please read? Please call the roll. Senator Alquist.
I request unanimous consent. Okay. There are amendments at the desk for AB 1653, and I move that they be adopted.
Without objection. Senator Alquist.
I request unanimous consent to suspend Senate Rule 29.3 to take up File Item 139, Assembly Bill 1653 in mock-up form.
Members, is there objection? Without objection. Secretary, please read.
Okay, one more.
File Item 139.
Assembly Bill 1653 by Assemblymember Jones, an act relating to Medi-Cal, making an appropriation therefore and declaring their surrounds to take effect immediately.
Senator Alquist.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. The federal government is requiring California to modify the hospital provider fee that we enacted in last year's AB 1383. The hospital provider fee allows California to draw down additional federal funding to increase Medi-Cal payments to hospitals and partially fund health care coverage for children. This bill is a follow-up to last year's bill. It is needed because the federal government is requiring us to change the hospital provider fee methodology, especially in terms of how managed care plans are paid. Specifically, this bill refines the methodology in order to get approval from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, CMS, for the hospital provider fee program. We expect to receive $3.2 billion in federal funds under this bill for the 21-month period ending December 31st, 2010. The passage of this bill is critical to our state budget since we have already scored the funding that will be available to the state once CMS approves the fee. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Alquist. Members, is there any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Blakesley? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee aye.
Ayes 28, noes 2.
Correa
Ayes
aye.
28.
Wright aye.
Ayes 30, noes 2 on the urgency. Ayes 30, noes 2 on the measure. The measure is passed. Senator Kehoe, did you want to, at this
Thank you,
point...
Mr. President. Off the floor, room 3191, local government members, if you could help me take up a few bills.
Will the members of the Local Government Committee please report to room 3191? We will keep the measures on call for Senator Kehoe and committee members. Senator Simidian, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. Mr. President, I have a couple of very modest, non-controversial items. File item 18 is an SJR. File item 63 is an AB. If you'd like to take them up, I'm happy to take them up. If this is not the time, I'm happy to take my seat, sir.
Senator Simidian, as you well know, having been the presiding officer, we would like to proceed, but let's go ahead and take your items up, and then we will proceed back on file.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Simidian, the item number you were...
File item 18.
File item...
18.
18. File item 18, will the Secretary please read?
Senate Joint Resolution 23 by Senator Simidian relative to research for mitochondrial disease.
Senator Simidian.
Members, this is a resolution which has had support on both sides. The amendments on the Assembly side were essentially grammatical, and to add co-authors, I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion? Is there any objection to utilize unanimous roll call? I'm not sure we have one yet. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Blakesley? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Price? Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee?
Ayes 24.
Hollingsworth? Aye.
Ayes 25. No 0. The
Move a call.
Senator Simidian moves to call.
Thank you, Mr. President.
One more item, Senator Simidian.
Thank you. I have file item 63, Mr.
File item 63. File item 63. Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Bill 2379 by Assembly Member Fuhrer, enacting to environmental protection.
Senator Simidian.
Thank you, members. This is just a relatively simple bill that helps California businesses who are attempting to transition to safer consumer products. It simply authorizes DTSC's existing pollution prevention program to aid in that transition and expands the number of industries eligible for assistance. To my knowledge, there have been no votes on the bill as it's moved through the process, and I would respectfully ask for an aye vote, 6-0 out of our Environmental Quality Committee.
Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Blakesley? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Cogdill aye. Corbett aye. Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee aye. Strickland aye.
Ayes 28, noes 0. The measure is placed on call. Senator Wolk for a quick item, and Senator Corbett next, and we're going back to file item 19. Senator Wolk.
152.
File item 152. Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 173 by Assemblymember Evans relative to Native Plant Week.
This is declaring Native Plant Week, California Native Plant Week, and it is a bipartisan ACR. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Wolk. Any members, any discussion on this? Will the Secretary please call the roll? Is there any objection to utilizing unanimous consent? There is. Please call the roll.
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Blakesley? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee aye. Emerson no. Blakesley aye. Onnested no.
Ayes 20.
Correa no. Wyland no. Wyland aye.
Ayes 22, noes 11. The measure is placed on call. Senator Corbett, you have some items that need to go back over. Senator Ducheney has some items that need to go back over. Let's go ahead and take those items, and we'll proceed on to file item 19. Senator Corbett.
Thank you, Mr. President, members, for your courtesy on this measure that does need to go back for a concurrence hearing.
This is file item?
Of 149.
149. Would the Secretary please read? File item 149.
Assembly Bill 2764 by the Assembly Committee on Judiciary enacting to the State Bar Act.
Senator Corbett.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This non-controversial annual Judiciary Committee bill was recently amended with close collaboration between both houses of the legislature to reinforce the State Bar's commitment to ensure that the legal profession focuses its efforts on protecting the public. This is the annual bar dues bill. This bill also authorizes the bar to maintain flat membership dues this coming year at the same levels that have been in place for several years. Most importantly and urgently, the measure helps to address the unprecedented funding crisis that has hit California's legal services programs by allowing but not requiring bar members to set aside just 2% of their dues as $10 to help save legal service programs across the state. And I do emphasize it's a voluntary measure. In addition, this completely voluntary option to allow those lawyers who wish to assist struggling legal service programs will not and should not affect the ability of the bar to maintain its staffing levels. It should also be noted that those lawyers who do not wish to contribute to legal services can instead get a $10 reduction this year on their bar dues, something I hope that my colleagues on both sides of the aisle will see as fair and reasonable. I believe this bill will help strengthen the bar while addressing our current crisis in legal services funding, and respectfully request your aye vote and, when the time comes, immediate transmittal.
Thank you, Senator Corbett. Senator Harmon, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of the annual bar dues. As the chairman of the Judiciary Committee just pointed out, the $10 checkoff fee is voluntary. You don't have to do it. It's not mandatory. The bar has been doing a very good job in the last few years of managing the state bar offices and keeping expenses under control. And for all those reasons, I urge an aye vote.
Members, any more debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onstead? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Blakesley? Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Samidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? No. Yee? Yee aye. Strickland no. Pavley? Pavley aye. Correa no. Blakesley no.
Ayes 24.
Onstead no.
Ayes 24, noes 6. The measure is placed on call. Senator Ducheney, you have some items that need to be taken up today.
Thank you.
And then we're going to return back to file order on file item 19 with Senator Liu.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, if I might, one I am sure does, but I think the other one could go quickly. So they both
Just give us the file item and we'll begin.
146 and 148.
File item 146. Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Bill 291 by Assemblymember Saldana, enacting to commercial fishing.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, this bill, as amended here in the Senate, does only one major thing that of multiple things that it did previously. This is an industry-sponsored bill updating the laws regarding lobster trap specifications. This was originally included in another bill that had a much more controversial portion to it, but instead this piece, which I think is less controversial and is supported by the industry, has been moved into this vehicle, AB 291. The current law is over 35 years old. The engineering of lobster traps has evolved over time, and our codes were not up to date. This will help bring those codes into compliance so that nobody is inadvertently charged with using inappropriate traps. Ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary call the roll?
Onstead? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Blakesley? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney?
Aye.
Aye. Dutton? Aye. Emerson? Aye. Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Runner? Aye. Samidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee aye. Padilla, aye. Blakeslee, aye.
Ayes 31, noes 0. The measure is passed. Senator Duchesne, your next item.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. 148.
File item,
ED
file item 148. Will the Secretary please read?
Okay.
46 and 148. What do you want? I did them in order. But I'm not going to pick up my third one because it's
Assembly Bill 635 by the Committee on Accountability and Administrative Review.
Senator
Enacting
Duchesne.
public contracts, declaring the urgency to take effect immediately.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, members, this bill is an effort by the Assembly Committee on Accountability and Review to address an issue that had come to their attention regarding from public complaints with months of investigation with respect to school roofing jobs and the possible limits on competition that were created by inappropriate financial relationships, if you will, between the contractors and the materials manufacturers. This practice has led to non-competitive bidding, higher prices, and some roofing manufacturers had specific models aimed at sort of subverting this committee process. This bill will require that before one must bids on a public school roof replacement, that you must disclose financial ties, that you must have a toll-free hotline available for instances where manipulation appears to be occurring, and that substitute products at least be at least equal in quality, durability, and design and appearance. The main issue here, members, is to ensure the integrity of these projects, keep the costs down. It is supported widely by school districts, college districts throughout the state. Ask for your aye vote and immediate transmittal to the Assembly so they may hear it in committee.
Okay. Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilizing unanimous roll? Please call the roll. Secretary.
Onstead? Aye. Alquist?
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. Senator Wright, let me recognize Senator Wright at his desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, when this bill was heard in GO committee, I was one of the persons who voted no. There were a number of school districts that had serious concerns about the first iteration. The bill has been amended since then so that the school districts have now removed their opposition. So on that basis of the removal of opposition from the school districts and the School Boards Association, and many of them who had concerns about the first draft, I would ask for an aye vote.
Any more debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onstead? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Blakeslee? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Duchesne? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Kehoe?
Aye.
Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Samidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee.
Ayes 30, noes.
Aye. Padilla, we have his aye.
Ayes 31, noes.
Yee, aye.
Ayes 32, noes 1. The measure passes. On to ayes 32, noes 1 on the urgency. Ayes 32, noes 1 on the measure. The measure passes. Senator Anastat, you're recognized to your desk. But before that, Senator Kehoe, you have an announcement on the committee hearing.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will meet, the Appropriations Committee members will meet in 3191 immediately. Take up 6 measures.
6 measures. Measures will be placed on call. Senator Anastat, file item 149. Would Secretary please read?
147.
147. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1766 by Assembly Member Gaines, enacting to Health and Human Services.
Mr. President, members, this measure extends by 5 years a successful pilot program in Placer County, which has resulted in significant efficiencies. An integrated approach has resulted in a 20% reduction in the number of children needing foster homes and foster care, and has contributed over 100 children finding stable, loving homes. The Senate previously approved a measure to make this pilot project permanent, but the governor vetoed it. So now this bill simply extends the sunset for 5 years. I request actually unanimous consent.
Members, is there any objection to utilize unanimous roll on this? Seeing and hearing none, ayes 35, no 0. The measure is passed. Members, we're now going to recognize Senator Cheney. You had
Just a request for immediate transmittal of AB 635.
AB 635, immediate transmittal to the Assembly. Members, we're moving back to file item 19, Senator Liu. Pass on file. File item 20, Senator Pavley. Pass on file. File item 21, Senator Padilla. Secretary, please read. File item 21. Pass on file. File item 22, Senator Padilla. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 602 by Senator Padilla, enacting to food safety, declaring the urge to take effect immediately.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, when this bill first went through the Senate, it was a public health bill that focused on tobacco sales to minors. In the Assembly, we amended the bill, still to speak to public health, but more specifically to address the incidence of foodborne illness and to improve upon the situation by better training restaurant employees about proper food handling. Specifically, Assembly amendments require all food handlers in restaurant establishments throughout the state to obtain a food handler safety card within 30 days of employment. Would require that food safety courses be accredited by the American National Standards Institute to ensure that there is no cost to the state. And 3, we grandfather in existing food handler programs in Riverside County, San Bernardino County, and San Diego County. It's actually those local counties and their success that we're modeling the statewide legislation on. It's received tremendous bipartisan support. I ask for your vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Ashburn? Blakesley? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Emerson? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Herman? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Kehoe? Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee.
Please call the absent members.
Alquist? Ashburn? Blakesley? Calderon? Corbett? Correa? No. Denham? Dutton? Emerson? Hollingsworth? Huff? Kehoe? Oropesa? Price? Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Wright we have as aye. Wyland? Yee. Blakesley? Aye.
Ayes 19.
Cedillo we have as aye.
Ayes 19, noes 3. The measure is placed on call. Members, moving on to file item 23, Senator Steinberg. File item 23. Will the Secretary please read file item 23?
Senate Bill 1392 by Senator Steinberg, enacting to mental health.
Senator Steinberg.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We all know of the mental health crisis in our communities, with emergency rooms unfortunately being one of the only places where people can get care and then have to wait a long time to get it. One of the bright spots in the mental health world is the Mental Health Services Act, which I was proud to author back in 2004. Currently, under the law, the State Department of Mental Health has multiple funding periods in which counties have to wait to get the next set of funding before they can put it to use. This bill would replace the multiple funding distributions with a single lump sum to the counties each year. The improvements will enable counties to prevent avoidable budget cuts to community mental health services because they'll have the cash on hand to help the people. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onstead. Aye. Alquist. Ashburn. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Correa. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Kehoe. Leno. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Correa. Aye.
Ayes 22, no 0. The measure is placed on call. Senator Wright, file item 24.
Pass, I'll come back.
Pass on file. We'll go back to that item. File item 25. Senator DeSaulnier, would the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 1201 by Senator DeSaulnier, enacting to sex offenders.
Senator.
Mr. President, members, it was a year ago yesterday that the world heard about the Tracy Dugard case where Philip Garrido held Ms. Dugard for years in captivity. This bill is a result of us trying to work with the Inspector General and the Department of Corrections to make certain that, or at least to try to make certain that such a case would never happen again. When Philip Garrido came into the custody of the California Department of Corrections, he did not have a risk assessment done to him. The Inspector General, when they went over this case, they said this was one of the major mistakes in our coverage and led to Mr. Garrido kidnapping Ms. Dugard. So what this bill would do would require the California Department of Corrections to do a risk assessment for any sex offender coming into their care from federal parole or other states' parole, as was the case with Mr. Garrido. The Assembly amendments made the bill stronger by requiring that this assessment happen within 60 days of the Department of Corrections finding out that the parolee was a sex offender. And then at the end of the parole sentence, also the Assembly amendments strengthened the bill by saying that persons in this category would be held for an additional 45 days to go through an extensive mental health evaluation before they were actually released to the community. It's a good bill. We've spent a lot of time on it. We've tried to be as thoughtful as possible, and we would ask for your aye vote. It's had bipartisan support in both houses.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilizing unanimous roll? Seeing and hearing none, ayes 35, noes 0. The measure is passed. Thank you, Senator. Senator Wright, I'd like to return back to your item. We just passed file item 24. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 830 by Senator Wright, enacting to intellectual property.
Senator Wright.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this bill has no opposition. It's sponsored by the record industry. What it does is it simply upgrades the code for piracy to include the current forms of devices today, from whether it's a DVD or a thumb drive or a zip drive or an MP3. There's so many different forms of media that are now available for piracy, so that this simply upgrades the statute so it conforms to what the currents are. In a few years, we'll probably have to do it again because there'll be some newer technologies that will need to be covered, but this gets us up to the current status of the technology for pirated material in the record and movie industry. I would ask for an aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilizing unanimous consent? Seeing and hearing none, ayes 35, noes 0. The measure is passed. Senator Romero, you recognize your desk under motions and resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Members, I just want to acknowledge that I've had a very hardworking, enthusiastic intern in my office for the last couple of months. His name is Benny Bernanini, and you've probably seen him here in the chamber monitoring our work. He is a junior at UC Santa Cruz, majoring in political science and German studies. He has learned from us all, and he has worked so hard to actually make my work easier here on the Senate floor. He's going to Germany for some overseas studies, and I would like for you to ask to give him a bon voyage and a thank you very much, and we hope to see you back again in the Capitol soon. Thank you, Benny.
Very much for your service to the California State Senate. Senator Armstead, you recognize your desk.
Point of parliamentary procedure, Mr. President. If we're going to allow committees to be meeting off the floor while we are still in session, I would request that we not use unanimous consent, but that we use the roll call.
So noted. Thank you, Senator Anastat. Moving on to file item 26, Senator Hancock. Secretary, please read. 26, please read.
Senate Bill 82 by Senator Hancock, enacting to community colleges.
Senator Hancock.
Thank you very much, Speaker and members. SB 82 is a bill about getting students to school. To do this, the bill will update the existing cap on transportation fees and allow the cap to increase with future inflation. Any increase in fees must be approved by a vote of the students. The bill passed the Education Committee yesterday with bipartisan support, and I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Hancock. Members, is there any debate or discussion on this? Would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Ashburn? Blakesley? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Correa? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Emerson? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal?
Point of order.
Yes, Senator Lowenthal, you have a point of order.
The analysis says nothing on the. We're trying to understand what this bill does. It doesn't say anything.
Are you referring to the content of the analysis, or are you saying there is nothing on your screen?
I'm referring to on everyone's screen. It has.
Okay, let's put that over. Let's put that over, if that's okay with you, Senator Hancock. Well,
this may be a new way of doing business, and I'm okay with it. I just want a ruling from the chair.
We figured that, Senator Lowenthal. So we will put this over for a moment until we can figure out the computer problems. And do you mind putting that over, Senator Hancock? Do you mind putting that over? You're okay with that? Okay. Going back to file item. Okay. Yeah, we are.
Point of order. We
Senator,
seem to be in the middle of a roll call vote, Mr. President. I'd like to have it resolved.
Senator Harmon, we are debating that right now. Give us 1 second. Members, I have been advised by the desk that we were going to continue the roll call. We were going to place it on call, and we are then going to figure out the issue with Senator Lowenthal's computer, and then we're going to keep everyone's computer. And then we will then proceed with a vote. So continue the roll.
Lowenthal? Aye? No. Negrete McLeod? No. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Price? Romero, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. No. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Okay. Romero, aye. Harmon, aye.
Ayes 15.
Runner.
Noes 2. The measure is placed on call. Members, we're having a bit of trouble with our computer system at this point in time, and in a few moments we'll be back taking up file item 27 with Senator Padilla. Senator Padilla.
Request to take up item 27. I believe the previous item simply had an old analysis that would come up. So as soon as they update that, I believe the rest of them are ready to go.
We'll pause for a moment and make sure that's the issue. Thank you, Senator Padilla. Senator Padilla, you have file item 27. I believe it's dealing with computer technology. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 1462 by Senator Padilla, enacting to telecommunications.
Senator Padilla.
This bill to the rescue, right? Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is SB 1462, which would establish a California Broadband Council, specifically to build on the progress that's been made and the leadership California has demonstrated in recent years with the governor's broadband task force that was established several years ago and the task force report that group created. It's led to initiatives that have synergized with the California Emerging Technologies Fund, the Advanced Services Fund program at the PUC, which we recently voted to extend and expand, and has bottom line helped leverage resources to expand broadband deployment and usage both within state government and really throughout the state in the underserved areas. This council is not a new state bureaucracy, but rather a coordinating council, if you will, of key state players that would, number one, maximize California's opportunities for federal funds made available under the new broadband plan recently released by the FCC. Second, it would increase the coordination of state resources for broadband networks through various state departments and agencies. It's received tremendous bipartisan support. I ask for your vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, Blakesley, Calderon, Cedillo, I. Cogdell, I. Corbett, Correa, I. Denham, DeSaulnier, I. Duchesne, Dutton, I. Emerson, Flores, I. Hancock, I. Harmon, I. Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, I. Lowenthal, I. Negrete McLeod, I. Oropesa Padilla, I. Pavley, I. Price, Romero, I. Runner, I. Smidian, I. Steinberg, I. Strickland, I. Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, I. Wyland, Yee. Onnested, no. Huff, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Alquist, Ashburn, Blakesley, Calderon, Corbett, Denham, Duchesne, Emerson, Hollingsworth, Kehoe, Leno, Oropesa, Price, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wyland, Yee. Duchesne, aye.
Ayes 21, noes 1. The measure is placed on call. Moving on to file item 28. Senator Lowenthal, will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 579 by Senator Lowenthal, an act relating to oil and making an appropriation therefore.
Senator Lowenthal.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. The Assembly amendments delete the prior version of the bill and make several technical and clarifying changes to the California Oil Recycling and Enhancement Act. Specifically, it clarifies the board, which no longer exists, means the Department of Resources, Recycling, and Recovery changes the date to 2013 for the start of the department paying the re-refining incentive to be consistent with current law, and it fixes incorrect code references and other technical changes. There's no opposition. I ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Ashburn. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Correa. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Dutton. Emerson. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Leno. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Smidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. No. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee.
Please call the absent members.
Dutton, no. Alquist. Ashburn. Calderon. Corbett. Correa. Denham. Ducheney. Correa, aye. Ducheney, aye. Emerson. Hollingsworth. Kehoe. Leno. Oropesa. Price. Runner. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wyland. Yee.
Ayes 20, noes 2. The measure is placed on call. Can we lift the call on Senator Hancock's item? There was an issue regarding the analysis on the computer. Let's go ahead and lift the item 26. Please call the absent members.
Alquist. Ashburn. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Corbett. Denham. Ducheney. Dutton. No. Emerson. Hollingsworth. Kehoe. Leno. Lowenthal. Aye. Oropesa. Pavley. Aye. Price. Smidian. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wyland. Yee. Ducheney, aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. No to aye.
Ayes 21, noes 2. The measure is placed on call. Moving on to file item 29, pass on file. File item 30, pass on file. File item 31, pass on file. File item 32, Senator Liu. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 945 by Senator Liu, enacting to children.
Senator Liu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I ask for your aye vote and concurrence on SB 945. This bill clarifies that probation and parole officers are required to provide wards exiting from juvenile justice detention facilities with documentation of their status as former foster youth. This will inform youth about their eligibility for services and benefits and assist them with the transition to adulthood. Assembly amendments resolve chaptering out conflicts. This bill has no opposition and passed the Senate 30-0. I ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilize the unanimous roll? There is. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Ashburn. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Correa. Aye. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Dutton. Ducheney, aye. Dutton. Emerson. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Leno. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Pavley, Price, Romero, aye. Runner, Smidian, aye. Steinberg, aye. Strickland, aye. Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, aye. Wyland, Yee.
Ayes 19, no 0. The measure is placed on call. Moving on to file item 33. Senator Lowenthal for Senator Oropesa. Would the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 949 by Senator Oropesa, enacting the vehicles.
Senator Lowenthal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, Senate Bill 949 is intended to clarify certain provisions of the state's vehicle code so that enforcement remains consistent throughout California. The bill has had bipartisan support and has had no votes throughout its legislative process. Additionally, law enforcement organizations previously listed as in opposition have now changed to a neutral position. Assembly amendments clarify chaptering out language to eliminate and also change the date of implementation to coincide with local government's fiscal calendar of July 1, 2011. I ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary call the roll?
Onnested, aye. Alquist, Ashburn, Blakesley, Calderon, Cedillo, aye. Cogdill, aye. Corbett, Correa, Denham, DeSaulnier, aye. DeCheney, aye. Dutton, Emerson, Flores, aye. Hancock, aye. Harmon, Hollingsworth, aye. Huff, aye. Kehoe, Leno, Liu, aye. Lowenthal, aye. Negrete McLeod, aye. Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, aye. Runner, Smidian, aye. Steinberg, aye. Strickland, aye. Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, aye. Wyland, Yee. Dutton, aye. Correa, aye.
Ayes 19, no 0. The measure is placed on call. Moving on to file item 34. Pass on file. File item 35. Senator Padilla. Pass on file. File item 36. Senator Liu. Pass on file. File item 37. Senator Leno. Pass on file. File item 38. Senator Liu. Pass on file. File item 39. Any member have a Senate item they'd like to take up? Okay. Members, we're going to move on to the Assembly third reading file, file item 50. Senator Wright, you'd like to take up your item, please? File item?
47.
47. Would Secretary please read file item 47?
Senate Resolution 49 by Senator Wright relative to sports wagering.
Senator Wright.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is a resolution that is seeking to do a couple of things. There are currently 4 states in the country that are allowed to wager on sports. The federal government passed a law that forbid any other state from going into it, but it did not preclude the 4 that are already engaged in it. Californians probably spend in excess of $500 million a year on different kinds of sports wagering, but it's illegal to do that here. This bill is not a move to attempt to create the sports book. In order to do that, this legislature will have to come back and make a statute in order to do that. What this resolution says is that, A, we support the state of New Jersey and the 7 other states that are seeking permission to make that decision for themselves, and that we would be looking toward making a decision on that should the courts rule favorably in that position. So the idea here is this resolution is that we would support the state of New Jersey and the 7 other states who are seeking to have the opportunity to consider sports book. And then we will come back and we'll fight it out here as to whether or not we actually pass a statute to engage in it. The resolution simply says that the decision as to whether or not we do or don't should rest with the state of California, and there should not be a violation of the U.S. Constitution's Commerce Clause relative to states being able to make that decision. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Wright. Members, is there any debate or discussion on this item? Will all the members of the Senate who are in favor of this item please say aye? Noes? The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Wright, for your vote. Moving on to file item 50. Is there an author? File item 51. File item 52. Oh, Senator. File item 53. File item 55. Senator Huffman. Excuse anyone for Huffman? File item 56. Senator Kehoe is out. Senator Grady-McLeod, do you have an item you'd like to take up?
Yes, I have item number 154.
154.
ACR 184.
Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 184 by Assemblymember Ruskin relative to the Joint Committee on the Master Plan for Higher Education.
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this resolution contains the results of the needs-based assessment conducted by the Joint Committee on the Master Plan in 2010, also reflected in the committee report entitled Appreciating Our Past, Ensuring Our Future, a Public Agenda for Public Higher Education in California. The committee report has been signed by all members of the committee in both houses and of both parties. ACR 184 also recommends that the Joint Committee be reauthorized to complete the work started in 2010. ACR 65, which created the Joint Committee, sunsets the committee in November of 2010. As co-chair of the Joint Committee, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Members, is there any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Ashburn. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Correa. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Leno. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete-McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Pavley. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Correa. Aye.
Ayes 20, noes 0. The measure is placed on call. Members, is there any other members at this point who are not in the Appropriations Committee who would like to take up an item? Senator Hancock.
Thank you. The item is file item, it's Bill ACR 129.
Let us look that up. ACR 129. That is file item 122. Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 129 by Assemblymember Monning relative to international treaties.
Senator Hancock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since the 1990s, the United States has agreed to a number of international protocols and treaties related to human rights. These include the International Convention Against Torture, the elimination of racial discrimination, and protocols against the involvement of children in armed conflict, the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. ACR 129 requests the California Attorney General to publicize these international agreements to cities, counties, and state agencies and prepare templates that local governments can use to report in a concise, complete, and accurate way on the status of human rights in these areas. The Meiklejohn Civil Liberties Institute will work with the Attorney General's office, so there will be a very minimal cost to the state, and all the facts and statistics needed are in reports already prepared by the state for other purposes. This passed with bipartisan support in the Assembly, and I would ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, Blakesley, Calderon, Cedillo, aye. Cogdill, no. Corbett, Correa, Denham, DeSaulnier, aye. Duchesne, Dutton, Emerson, Flores,
aye.
Aye. Hancock, aye. Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, no. Kehoe, Leno, Liu, aye. Lowenthal, aye. Negrete McLeod, aye. Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, aye. Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, aye. Strickland, no. Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, aye. Wyland, Yee. Onnested, no. Duchesne, aye. Smidian, aye. Padilla, aye.
Ayes 13, noes 4. The measure is placed on call. Senator DeSaulnier, what item?
136, please.
File item 136. File item 136, will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Bill 289 by Assemblymember Galgiani, enacting the high-speed rail and declaring the urged thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this bill from Assemblymember Galgiani is a companion bill to Senate Bill 965 that I'm carrying that will prepare California to receive American Recovery and Reinvestment Act money for the purpose of the high-speed rail project. It will provide more oversight by actually identifying positions for the Office of Project Management for this project. There's been justifiable criticism and concern about the proper fiscal controls over this project. This bill, along with 965, will help assure that there is proper fiscal management of the project, will also allow California to get these funds and provide valuable jobs for Californians as soon as possible. I would ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this? Senator Huff.
Yes, I rise in support of this bill. It's double joined with another bill, and one could make the argument that this doesn't do a whole lot, but the other one does. We've supported that in the past, so I'm talking particularly to my Republican colleagues here. It has urgency. I would urge your aye vote.
Any more debate or discussion? Senator, would you like to close?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Please call the roll.
Onnested, no. Alquist, Ashburn, Blakesley, Calderon, Cedillo, aye. Cogdill, aye. Corbett, Correa, Denham, DeSaulnier, aye. Duchesne, Dutton, no. Emerson, Flores, aye. Hancock, aye. Harmon, Hollingsworth, no. Huff, aye. Kehoe, Leno, Liu, aye. Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, aye. Pavley, Price, Romero, aye. Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, aye. Wyland, Yee. Blakesley, aye. Smidian, aye.
Ayes 12, noes 13. The measure is placed on call. Members, is there any other item on the assembly file that a member would like to take up? Members, for a moment, may I digress under motions, resolutions, and introduce to you my Senate fellow sitting in the back with his parents, both Simon and Hilda Rosas. Could you guys stand up and please give them a hand? Thank you for joining us today. Members, any other items that members would like to take up? Senator Cogdale, you recognize at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wondering, did everybody else go home and they didn't tell us about it? Or?
I think the members are, I believe, still in the Appropriations Committee. And as soon as they come out, we will begin taking up items. I assume most of them have items to take up as well. Senator Blakesley, coming from the Assembly, do you have a stack of Assembly items that you would like to take up from your past colleagues? Well, members will just hold until the Assembly Senate Appropriations Committee comes out.
Dean?
Senator Romero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, let me just once again take this occasion to thank all the members for participating in the Give Your Clothes and a Woman a Second Chance. We received a tremendous number of contributions, donations of clothing to assist women who are exiting from prison on parole, trying to reestablish their lives in the communities. We'll give you a final feedback of the number of items collected. Today is the final day. If you have any clothing, please, we will appreciate and take that. And let me thank Bryn Sullivan in particular, my staff with the Women's Caucus, who has initiated this year after year. Thank you so much, members, for your participation.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Romero. Senator Wright, do you have an item you'd like to take up?
File item 126.
126. Will the Secretary please read file item 126?
Assembly Bill 1822 by Assembly Member Swanson, enacting to massage therapy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this measure by Assembly Member Swanson is important in public safety because on the California Massage Therapy Council, there's currently no law enforcement people who are appointed. This bill would simply say that 2 members may serve on the board at any one time, and that 1 member selected by the California Police Chiefs Association and 1 member would be elected by the Sheriff's Association. That's the sum and substance of the bill, is that it would add law enforcement personnel to the particular board itself that does massage therapy in California. That's the bill. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Wright. Senator Onstadt, you're recognized at your desk.
Mr. President, members, I rise to urge a no vote on this bill. One of the beautiful aspects of our boards that we've had since they were all created is that they are really a matter of peer review. The medical board consists of physicians and public members at large. The dental board, peer reviewed by dentists, people who understand what the problems are in that specialty. This is the first time that any board or commission in the Department of Consumer Affairs now would require police officers to be part of a board. That is specifically noting no other qualifications to be on that board other than they represent public safety. I think this is a step backwards to the time-honored tradition of peer review and what we see in our consumer boards, and that is the ability to self-regulate and police themselves with public members at large invited to attend on that board, but not necessarily mandate any particular type of public member. I think this is a step backward and an intrusion, and also for the wrong reasons. We can get into the fact that in recent years, this board has done a good job of self-regulation and has corrected a lot of the problems that have been there in the past. And there is absolutely no need for this move for this board at this time.
Thank you, Senator Onstadt. Senator Negrete-McLeod.
Yes, I am, as much as I like Mr. Swanson, and I'm not going to be as articulate as Dr. Onstadt with my words, but as chair of BMP, I voted against this bill for specifically the reasons that Dr. Onstadt said. There is no reason that there should have any law enforcement on any board. It is not specific to the board. I know that law enforcement had trouble before with those quasi-massage parlor, Judy brings you joy, whatever. But, you know, what is that again? Judy brings you joy.
Okay.
or whatever it is, but these are legitimate massage therapists that want to govern their own organizations, and for those reasons, as they were stated articulately by Dr. Onnested, I urge a no vote on this bill also.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Cedillo, you're recognized at your desk.
Go ahead. I'll
Senator
defer to
Hancock. Senator Hancock.
I'd just like to rise in favor of the bill. The fact of the matter is that legitimate massage therapists do a world of good, and there is also human trafficking and prostitution and abuse of women in far too many establishments that use that title. And I think that this bill would add some representation that could be useful to the board.
Thank you. Members, any more debate or discussion on this item? Senator Cedillo.
I'm looking for Judy. That's what I'm.
Senator Onnested has raised a very valid point and has laid out a precedent that exists that peer review should serve as the basis for these boards, but not exclusive. And in fact, there are many circumstances. Just a few days ago, we voted on the creation of a board for the hearing impaired, but it was not one that was made up exclusively of persons from the hearing impaired community. In fact, that was the battle. Could we create a board that was diverse, but yet had the significant amount of persons from that community so that it was an appropriate board to make the appropriate determinations in that area? We accomplished that by having a majority of persons who are hearing impaired. We have in statute directions for creating the parole board, and again, a statute that says there should be a diversity, because while the parole board deals with people who are coming out on parole, it's not one made of parolees. On the contrary, it's made up of persons who want to keep people in jail.
This is good stuff.
And so the statute that calls for a diverse board because they think there's value to that. The evolution of this is that we now see that the board has other interests that are relevant, that have a nexus, that have a concern to this industry, but do not in any way diminish, and would not in any way diminish, the legitimate role that the industry plays in the realization of public health. And so Mr. Onnested is right, but it's not right in the conclusion. It is not necessarily to have an exclusive board of massage therapists, but one that gives them the majority so that they have the expertise is present, that they have the votes to make the determination, but yet have the input, the relevant and significant input, to make sure that the industry is focused clearly on providing the health services that it does, and does so with the confidence from the public and the integrity of the industry taken into consideration. I ask for an aye.
Thank you, Senator Cedillo. Senator Onnested.
Mr. President, members, I'm glad that Senator Cedillo agrees with my concept. I never said that it should be exclusive. The dental board has public members. The medical board has public members, but it does not specify who those public members should be or what industry they represent. This would be a radical departure on the consumer boards to put specifically police officers on a consumer board, and again, I would object to it. I would love to have public members on that board, which is the present case as is.
Senator Wright, you may close.
I appreciate the discussion, and let me again try to amplify, and Senator Hancock raised the concern. Often what happens in and around massage therapists is it gets real close to prostitution. I've never had the occasion to meet Judy that Senator Grady McLeod described, but But seriously, right? But in a serious sense, there are 14 members of this board, and they all come from the same profession currently. We're talking about specifying 2 members, so we're clearly not going to have a majority. One of the things that this board has done recently is that they've closed themselves to public meetings. They often meet without any public scrutiny or any public availability. And the potential that we've seen is that some of the people to whom they've given certificates, not only were they not qualified, but they were associated with organized crime and prostitution and human trafficking and some of the other things that I don't think that we would appreciate. If there's no one on the board who would look at that, and in the dental board, there's not a potential that someone would be involved in organized crime. In some of the other consumer boards, that's not been an issue. It has become an issue with this board that we're looking at human trafficking in California. We're looking at organized prostitution in California. We're looking at a number of things that are regulated by this board that do in fact create law enforcement issues. And on the basis of the fact that law enforcement has the concern, you do want to create a mandate that 2 out of 14 members, certainly not the majority, but you want to make sure that there is a law enforcement presence in something that's so delicate to the fabric of what occurs. If we don't have that, as we've had, then we've already seen licenses given to people who were doing illegal things. That's why I would ask for an aye vote on AB 1822. In a normal circumstance, you would not need to have a police officer on a board. For the dental board, the health board, it really wouldn't matter. But we're talking about granting licenses to people that could turn into effective licenses for prostitution. There ought to be some law enforcement oversight. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Senator Granny McLeod, you have a...
I think we're talking about, thank you, Mr. President. I think we're talking about 2 different things. The licenses that massage therapists get, they have to go to school. I think you're talking about licenses for establishments. Those are 2 totally different kind of things. Now, there are other organizations that bring in people. The nursing profession brings in people from other countries. Are you going to start scrutinizing and putting a cop on there because there might be the possibility that they're trafficking in nurses?
Senator Romero, we'll go back to your second close, Senator Wright. Senator Romero.
Yeah, Senator Wright, since we are waiting for the others to come back to the floor, and let me just say, I don't know if we're going to have a happy ending after this discussion today. We appear to be divided. Wow. But let me ask this question to the author or to the floor manager. Are you saying that right now the composition of the board precludes anybody that has some expertise in law enforcement? And let me just say, if I may, for the author to, the floor manager to address, the issue of trafficking is serious. In my district in San Gabriel Valley, which both Senator Negrete McLeod, Senator Cedillo, myself, Senator Liu, we all represent, Senator Calderon, just recently there was, of course, a bust and there were women who were being trafficked. However, this is not exclusive of this industry. We work very closely with members of the industry. Undoubtedly, we want to crack down. I do believe in our penal code there are sufficient laws under which these there can be the crackdown and the prosecution of those who are engaged in trafficking. But I do agree with Senator Onestad and the others who have spoken in opposition. We are zeroing in on one industry. I think it begins to paint a very pejorative view of the industry where trafficking is widespread, not exclusive. So unfortunately, I would look forward to continuing to work on monitoring to ensure that we can crack down on illegal activities, but I do not believe that this is the appropriate response, and I would ask for a no vote.
Thank you, Senator Romero. Members, any more debate or discussion on this? Senator Dutton?
I had to do that, sorry. Since you did. There's nobody on the floor, come on.
Senator Dutton.
I was going over the analysis here, and I was just curious about some opinions of other people. And I know there's some notable former elected officials who seem to have an interest in this area, and I'm just curious if Senator Wright had heard anything about their opinion without mentioning names. But their opinion with regards to this legislation. And
Senator Wright, Senator Dutton had a question. I'm not sure you answered or not.
Not sure in the hypothetical to whom he was referring. I'm not sure, but let me tell you who's supporting the bill. And because, again, this has been, and I agree with Senator Negrete McLeod, we're talking about the people who grant the licenses to the individuals and the determination as to whether or not those persons are qualified to perform this service. Now, whether or not you get a happy ending, that's up for debate. But the concern that I wanted to raise seriously is that these are the people who are supporting this piece of legislation. The California State Sheriff's Association, the California District Attorneys Association, the California Peace Officers Association, the Association for Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriffs, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, the Los Angeles County Police Chiefs Association, the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force, the International Faith-Based Coalition, the Riverside Sheriff's Association, the Long Beach Peace Officers Association, the Santa Ana Police Officers Association, the Los Angeles County District Attorney. What I'm pointing out, members, is that law enforcement recognizes that while it is true there could be someone else appointed to this board, because it's controlled now exclusively by the people who run it and there's no outside voice in it, that there's no protection to assure that you don't have the corruption and organized crime infiltrating the profession. That's why virtually every law enforcement group has stepped up to say that they're concerned, because this industry, certainly more so than in a dental office, certainly more so than in nurses. If there was a big thing where you had human trafficking in nurses and you found out that Nurse Judy was working at one of your local hospitals, that would be a concern. But up to now, that has not been the concern, members. And where you've had human trafficking issues occur have been in facilities that were granted licenses by this board, and this board currently has no provision to mandate that someone other than its own members be involved. The dental boards and all the other boards do have private members. This one currently does not, and there's clearly a willingness that they don't want to have members outside, so it's a closed unit right now. That's why we need to change the law. That's why Senator Swanson and virtually every law enforcement agency in the state is supporting AB 1822. I'd ask for your aye vote.
Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Ashburn? Blakesley? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Correa? Aye. Denham? Dusanier? Ducheney? No. Dutton? No. Emerson? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Leno? Liu? Lowenthal? No. Negrete McLeod? No. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Price? Romero? No. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Steinberg? No. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Blakesley, aye.
Ayes 9, noes 10. The measure is placed on call. Members, is there anyone else who would like to take an item up? Senator Pavley.
Yes.
What file item?
Yes, file item 124.
124. File item 124. Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Bill 2761 by the Assembly Committee on Natural Resources, enacting to natural resources.
Senator Pavley.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, this bill is a Natural Resources Committee bill from the Assembly that contains 3 non-controversial provisions. Number 1 clarifies that the state geologists may provide geological services to government and non-government entities through grant or cooperative agreements. Number 2 allows the Division of Oil, Gas, and Geothermal Resources to rely on in-house legal counsel for non-litigation services, such as reviewing permits. Number 3 authorizes the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection to assist local and regional urban green waste programs as part of urban forestry efforts. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Members, any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Ashburn. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Correa. Aye. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Leno. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Romero. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Strickland, aye. Romero, aye.
Ayes 22, noes 0. The measure is placed on call. Senator Dutton, did you have an item you'd like to take up?
Not an item, Mr. President, but if you're looking for a space filler here, I do have a condition
Senator
of the
Dutton?
file I could do now.
Senator Dutton, you're recognized.
Well, I'm trying to stretch it out, guys. What am I going to tell you? Some of the bills and everything we've been doing today and actually over this last couple of weeks reminds me of the law of unintended consequences, and particularly with regards to bills that aren't fully cooked. And there's something that's just came up, and it's obviously something we feel very passionate about with regards to what's causing some of the excesses of jobs to California, and particularly the burdens that we're placing on small businesses. But last year, California thought it was solving a problem when CARB instituted the Enhanced Vapor Recovery Program. Now, that program, you remember, was created to require service stations to upgrade their gasoline dispensing equipment. Recently, a series of unintended consequences has come to light. The state fire marshal has said that the hold open latches have to be removed from gas pumps throughout California. These are the same latches that CARB approved during the retrofit. So we have one state regulatory agency require the latches, and yet we have another state agency require that they be removed. Apparently, the left hand of government doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And frankly, that is what's caused a lot of California's problems. This is yet another example of the cost and headaches government has imposed on California's struggling small business owners. The result of the state fire marshal ruling will undoubtedly be more cost to these private businesses at a time when they can at least afford it. As Albert Einstein said before, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Let's stop the madness. We've got to start taking a better look at some of these bills. They aren't fully cooked coming out of this House, and I would hope that in the final days of this session that will help the private sector out by not taxing and regulating them out of existence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Dutton. Members, any other items to be taken up? Senator Leno. The Appropriations Committee, at this point, members, has concluded. They'll be heading back to the floor, so we'll be taking a few items up, and we're going to get back on the Assembly third reading file. Senator Leno, you have a few items.
Yes, items 34 and 37. If we can take 34, please.
File item 34. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 1080 by the Committee on Public Safety enacting to non-substantive reorganization of deadly weapon statutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is authored by the Senate Committee on Public Safety. The amendments taken in the Assembly are technical in nature. There is no opposition to the bill. I would ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Blakesley. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Correa. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Duchesne. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Wyland. Aye. Yee.
Please call the absent members.
Yee, aye.
Ayes 20.
Blakesley, aye. Correa, aye. Corbett, aye. Onnested, aye.
Ayes 25, noes 0. The measure's passed. Senator Leno, your next item.
Thank you. Item 37.
File item 37. Would the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 1413 by Senator Leno, enacting schools.
Thank you, Mr. President. The bill has to do with the facilitation of provision of free drinking water in school cafeteria areas. The amendments taken in the Assembly are the following. It allows schools to opt out for fiscal or for health and safety concerns. Also provides further clarity that water to be made available only in the food service area during meal times. And lastly, to align the implementation date with the school year. This bill is sponsored by the governor and has bipartisan support. I would ask for your concurrence in the Assembly amendments.
Members, is there any debate or discussion in this item? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Blakesley? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Duchesne? Dutton? Emerson? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Huff, no. Kehoe? Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Aye. Yee. Yee, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Blakesley, aye. Ashburn? No. Calderon? Denham? Duchesne? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? Harmon? Kehoe? Oropesa? Semidian? Wiggins? Wright? Wright, aye.
Ayes 22, noes 9. The measure passes. I'd like to recognize Senator Price for file item.
Thank you, Mr. President. File item 46.
File item 46. Secretary, please read. And members, if you are within listening distance, we're going to be lifting the calls on 16 items, and we're going to recognize pro tem after this item. Senator Price, would the Secretary please read?
Senate Resolution 47 by Senator Price relative to small business, jobs, and credit.
Senator Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. SR 47 encourages passage of HR 5297, the Small Business and Job Creation Act of 2010 by Congress and its signature by the President of the United States. Specifically, the resolution speaks to the creation of a $30 billion small business lending fund that will direct resources to small businesses through community banks, a state lending initiative that will also support state efforts to encourage increased loans to small businesses, and a $12 billion in tax relief for small business investors. Members, by encouraging passage of H.R. 5297, we are ensuring that the engine of our state's economy, small businesses, are well suited to recover and gain access to desperately needed credit. The H.R. is currently pending before the U.S. Senate and is poised to be enacted in September when the Congress ends its recess. SR 47 is a thoughtful way this body can show its support for small businesses, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Senator Price, thank you very much. All those members in favor of this signify by saying aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Price. The resolution is adopted. Members, we are going to proceed. Senator Onestad? You wanted a roll call on that item. Let's call the roll on Senator Price's item.
Onestad? Alquist? No. Alquist, aye. Ashburn? Blakesley? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Emerson? Flores? Hancock? Flores, aye. Hancock? Aye. Herman? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Ashburn, no.
Ayes 21, noes 8. The resolution is adopted. Senator Price, your next item, please.
Yes, Mr. President.
File item?
File item 145.
145. Will the Secretary please read file item 145?
Assembly Bill 2479 by Assemblymember Bass, enacting to stalking.
Senator Price.
Thank you again, Mr. President. On behalf of Speaker Bass, I'm pleased to present AB 2479, which will strengthen current law dealing with the invasion of privacy by extending the enhanced penalties to any false imprisonment committed by an individual with the intent to capture a photograph or other image of another person. The bill has also been amended to add enhanced criminal penalties for a person who commits reckless driving in an attempt to capture an image of another person for a commercial purpose. These penalties are further enhanced if there is a minor child in the vehicle whose safety is endangered. This bill is intended to address out-of-control paparazzi. They are employing more aggressive and unsafe tactics that endanger both celebrities and the general public. Paparazzi deliberately terrify celebrities to get the money shot, pictures of celebrities at their most vulnerable time. It's no longer just photos of celebrities smiling or standing on the red carpet. The hefty penalties imposed under this privacy statute will provide a much stronger deterrence to keep out-of-control paparazzi from violating a person's right to privacy. Similarly, the sentence enhancement under the Vehicle Code are narrowly tailored to target the danger that paparazzi present to the general public as a result of their reckless driving while simultaneously trying to get a picture of their targets. Los Angeles law enforcement agencies know all too well that paparazzi will block streets and sidewalks, engage in high-speed car chases, and drive with little or no regard to the general public. This is a strong public safety bill that will deter those paparazzi willing to break the law and endanger the public for the sake of profit. The Los Angeles City Attorney, the Screen Actors Guild, and the Paparazzi Reform Initiative strongly support this bill, and I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Price. Members, any debate or discussion? Senator Steinberg, you're recognized at your desk. Would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Blakesley? Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Duchesne. Dutton. No. Emerson. No. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. No. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Runner. No. Semidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. No. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee, no.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon. Correa. Denham. Duchesne. Harmon. Leno. Aye. Oropesa. Romero. Semidian. Wiggins. Duchesne, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon. Correa. Denham. Harmon. Oropesa. Romero. Semidian. Wiggins.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon. Correa. Denham. Harmon. Oropesa. Romero. Semidian. Wiggins.
Senator Price moves the call. Members, we're going to file item 18. Will the Secretary please lift the call on Senator Semidian's item? Will the Secretary please lift the call on file item 18?
Onnested. Calderon. Correa. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Kehoe. Aye. Dutton, aye. Leno. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Wiggins. Yee. Yee, aye. Correa, aye. Emerson, we have as aye.
Ayes 34, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Moving on to file item 63, will the Secretary please lift the call?
Onnested. Calderon. Correa. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Oropesa. Price. Aye. Wiggins. Wyland. Wyland, aye. Correa, aye.
Ayes 34.
Onnested, aye.
Ayes 35, noes 0. The measure is adopted. Please lift the call on file item 152.
Calderon. Denham. Leno. Aye. Oropesa. Price. Aye. Wiggins.
Ayes 24, noes 11. The measure is passed. Resolution is adopted. File item 149, would please lift the call.
Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Denham. Dutton. No. Hancock. Aye. Hollingsworth. No. Oropesa. Steinberg. Aye. Wiggins.
Ayes 27, noes 8. The measure is passed. Moving on to file item 22, Senator Padilla, please lift the call.
Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Calderon. Corbett. Aye. Denham. Dutton. Emerson. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Kehoe. Aye. Oropesa. Price. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Correa, no to I. Yee, I.
Ayes 20.
Runner, no to I. Ashburn, I.
Ayes 30, noes 1. The measure passes. Moving on to Senator Steinberg's item, file item 23. Please lift the call.
Alquist, aye. Ashburn, Calderon, Corbett, aye. Denham, Emerson, Hollingsworth, aye. Huff, Kehoe, aye. Leno, aye. Oropesa, Price, aye. Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wyland, aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Emerson, aye.
Ayes 31, ayes 32, no 0. The measure is passed. Please lift the call on file item 27.
Alquist, aye. Ashburn, Blakesley, Calderon, Corbett, aye. Denham, Emerson, aye. Hollingsworth, aye. Kehoe, aye. Leno, aye. Oropesa, Price, aye. Walters, no. Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wyland, aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Hollingsworth, I don't know. Ashburn, aye.
Ayes 31, noes 3. The measure is passed. Members, back to motions resolutions. Without objection, AB 1636, file item 96, will be removed from the third reading and returned to the Rules Committee. Also without objection, hold on, members. Okay. Also, members, without objection, Senate Rule 29.3b will be waived in order that AB 1636 may be amended in the Rules Committee. Without objection. So, please call the roll. AB 1636.
Okay.
Senator Dutton, would you like a roll call on this particular item? Without objection. Thank you, Senator Dutton. Members, we're moving back to lifting calls. File item 28 by Senator Lowenthal. Will the Secretary please call the absent members?
Alquist, aye. Ashburn, Calderon, Corbett, aye. Denham, Emerson, Hollingsworth, Kehoe, aye. Leno, aye. Oropesa, Price, aye. Runner, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wyland, aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Hollingsworth, aye. Walters, aye. Ashburn, aye. Onnested, we have as aye. Runner, aye.
Ayes 13.
Emerson, aye. Pavley, we have as aye.
Ayes 33, noes 2. The measures passed. The amendments are concurred in. Thank you, Senator Lowenthal. File item 26, Senator Hancock's item. Will the Secretary please call the absent members?
Alquist, aye. Ashburn, aye. Calderon, Corbett, aye. Denham, Emerson, aye. Hollingsworth, aye. Kehoe, aye. Leno, aye. Oropesa, Price, aye. Walters, aye. Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wyland, no. Yee, aye.
Ayes 32, noes 3. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. File item 32 by Senator Liu. Please call the absent members.
Alquist, aye. Ashburn, aye. Calderon, Corbett, aye. Denham, Dutton, Emerson, aye. Hollingsworth, aye. Kehoe, Leno, aye. Oropesa, Padilla, aye. Pavley, aye. Price, aye. Runner, Walters, aye. Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wyland, aye. Yee, aye. Kehoe, aye. Dutton, aye. Smitty, we have as aye.
Ayes 34.
Correa is an aye.
Ayes 34, noes 0. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. File item 33. Please lift the call.
Alquist, aye. Ashburn, aye. Blakesley, Calderon, Corbett, aye. Denham, Emerson, aye. Harmon, Kehoe, aye. Leno, aye. Oropesa, Padilla, aye. Pavley, aye. Price, aye. Runner, Walters, aye. Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wyland, aye. Yee, aye. Blakesley, aye.
Ayes 33, noes 0. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. File item 154, an ACR. Will please lift the call.
Alquist, aye. Ashburn, aye. Calderon, Corbett, aye. Denham, Emerson, aye. Harmon, Kehoe, aye. Leno, aye. Oropesa, Padilla, aye. Pavley, aye. Price, aye. Runner, aye. Walters, aye. Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wyland, Yee, aye. Yee, aye.
Ayes 34, noes 0. The resolution is concurred in. Members, moving on to file item 122. Please lift the call.
Alquist, aye. Ashburn, no. Blakesley, Calderon, Corbett, aye. Correa, aye. Denham, Dutton, Emerson, no. Harmon, Dutton, no. Harmon or Hollingsworth, no. Kehoe, aye. Leno, aye. Oropesa, Pavley, aye. Price, aye. Runner, no. Walters, no. Wiggins, Wolk, aye. Wyland, no. Yee, aye.
Ayes 22, noes 11. The resolution is concurred in. Please lift the call on file item 136.
Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Calderon. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Denham. Duchesne. Emerson. Harmon. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Lou. We have Lou as aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Runner. Steinberg. Strickland. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee aye. Strickland no. Runner no. Emerson no.
Ayes 22, noes 8. On the urgency, ayes 22, no 8. On the measure is passed. Let's move on to... Okay, there's 27 vote measure.
Mr.
Placed
President,
on call.
we got to leave it on call?
Yes, we're going to
Okay.
leave it on call. Moving on to file item 126 that Senator Wright took up earlier by Assemblymember Swanson. Please lift the call.
Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Calderon. Corbett. Aye. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Harmon. Kehoe. Leno. Aye. Lou. Oropesa. Pavley. Price. Aye. Smidian. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Wyland. Aye. Yee.
Senator Wright moves a call. Please lift the call on file item 124 by Assemblymember Chesbrough.
Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Calderon. Ashburn aye. Corbett. Aye. Denham. Emerson. Harmon. Kehoe. Leno. Aye. Oropesa. Price. Aye. Steinberg. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Kehoe aye. Smidian we have as aye. Yee aye.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The measures. Ayes 33, noes 0. The measure is passed. Members, let's move back to file item 136. Let's please lift the call. Please lift the call on file item 136.
Ashburn. Calderon. Denham. Duchesne. Harmon. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Steinberg. Aye. Wiggins.
I'd like to move.
Senator, you're recognized at your desk.
I'd like to move to invoke Rule 23.5 to remove the urgency.
Ayes 23. There's objection. Let me announce the vote. Ayes 23, noes 8. The measure fails.
Senator DeSaulnier has moved.
Senator has moved to to strike out the urgency and to take out in mock-up form. There's been objection by Senator Hollingsworth. Please call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Blakesley? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Aye. Runner no. Smidian aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee aye. Cedillo, we have his aye.
Ayes 21, noes 11. The motion is adopted. Will the Secretary, Senator DeSaulnier, on file item 136? You may present. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 289 by Assemblymember Galgiani, an act relating to high-speed rail.
Senator.
Respectfully ask for the members' aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Blakesley? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee?
Please call the absent members.
Smidian aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Correa? Aye. Denham? Ducheney? Harmon? Yee aye. Harmon? Huff? Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Wiggins?
Ayes 21, noes 9. The measure passes. Thank you, Senator. Will the Secretary please lift the call on file item 145?
Calderon? Correa? No. Denham? Harmon? Oropesa? Romero? No. Smidian? Aye. Wiggins?
Ayes 21, noes 13. The measure passes. Please lift the call on file item 126 by 126 by Assemblymember Swanson.
Ashburn, Calderon, Denham, Harmon, Kehoe, Liu, Oropesa, Pavley, Smidian, Aye. Wiggins, Wolk, Aye. Yee. Leno, aye to no.
Please call the absent members.
Ashburn,
Please call the absent members.
Calderon, Denham, Harmon, Kehoe, Liu, Oropesa, Pavley, Wiggins, Yee.
Please call the absent members.
Ashburn, Calderon, Denham, Harmon, Kehoe, Liu.
Okay. Ayes 18. Sorry, go ahead. Continue the roll.
Oropesa, Pavley, Wiggins, Yee. Yee, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Ashburn, Calderon, Denham, Harmon, Kehoe, Liu, Oropesa, Pavley, Wiggins.
Ayes 19, noes 11. The measure fails. Senator Wright seeks reconsideration. Ayes 34, noes 0. Reconsideration is granted. Okay. Members, we have completed the calls. Senator Steinberg? We have one bill on consent. Without objection, members, ayes 34, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Senator Steinberg, we have no other business at the desk. You are recognized at your desk. Senator Steinberg.
Thank you very much, members. We will resume session at 10 o'clock on Monday. And members should also be prepared. We are going to debate and take up respective views of the state budget on Tuesday. Time to be determined. I would ask members to expect a long day and evening on Monday so that we clear as much of the bill work as possible on Monday. And then we will take up the budget on Tuesday. Thank you. Good weekend.
Senator Grady McLeod.
Yes, on my own time.
Members?
Members, should Mr. Wright's bill fail, and if it is true that that board does not have any public members and that they are all just members of the massage industry, then it is my intention the coming year to then carry some legislation that we ensure that we put public members, not necessarily cops, but public members on there so that there is a variety of people to oversee that particular board.
Thank you, Senator. Members, the Senate will be in recess until 3:30, of which the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene as
Mr. President?
Yes.
And that way there will be a happy ending.
Thank you, Senator. We will reconvene Monday at 10 a.m. The Senate is in recess.